Our girl, Pam Bondi, is saying that she is seeking the death penalty for one Luigi Mangione for allegedly murdering the United Healthcare CEO, Brian Thompson. Mangione is currently being held, I believe, in New York, Manhattan. The man who cannot take a bad photo, holy shit, and who enjoys a lot of support from the public for many, many obvious reasons, i.e., we all hate our private health insurance and we have been denied claims. We've been charged through the nose. We've been bankrupt. We've been mistreated. We've been maimed. We have had, missed medication, rationed, on and on and on and on. Let's see. This is from Slate. Luke Winky says Donald Trump is getting really bad advice on Luigi Mangione. Bondi went on to characterize the crime as an act of political violence and made a somewhat flat assertion that bystanders near the scene were put at grave risk of death. Trump has made a lot of noise about reinstating the use of the federal death penalty, and it's not really a surprise to anyone his administration would invoke it here. But by releasing such a haughty statement, which defines Mangione as a political dissident and leans the full weight of the state on his punishment, Trump is once again showing that his populist instincts are in decline. Remember, guys, when the Mangione story broke, there were people, we know this because we were looking at, Ben Shapiro's videos that was like, this is a horrible crime and we must defend the wealthy. Look, it's a bad thing to kill people, obviously. But his commenters were like, I don't know, dog. I hate private health insurance. I don't know. This is not just the left. Nope. I'm a conservative here. We are, 20 years out, 15 years out, from the passage of the Affordable Care Act, which, the right tried to poison their own base against. The right also prevented Medicaid expansion, which would have truly helped millions of people at this point. Now Medicaid is being, gutted in all different kinds of ways through the budget. When Donald Trump first came to power, when he said in 2017 or 2016, when he said he was going to do something better than Obamacare, people believed him. Somehow people believed him. That was one of the main things they voted on. They wanted to talk about healthcare. Meanwhile, Hillary Clinton's out here going like, it's never going to happen. Yeah, it's a pie in the sky dream to do universal health care. I remember that rally where she did that. It's never going to happen. Bernie's out here going, I don't know why every other developed country in the world can do this for their people and we can't. Anyway, moving on. So, but people thought that Trump's sort of nebulous, commitments to healthcare meant something like universal healthcare. They never did. He never had a plan. Now, remember this election cycle? We've got beginnings of a plan. We've got outlines. What was it? Outlines of a plan? Formations. It's kind of like a seeing eye poster. You sort of stand back and there's an outline of it's a boat or a healthcare plan. Never took this issue seriously. So of course they're conservatives. It's one of the main things before the economy, which, as we talked about on the show, when people say the economy, it actually means a whole other wide-ranging number of things. It's not just about like how much money I got in my wallet, because that has everything to do with housing, price of food, education costs, has everything to do with your healthcare costs, right? It is saying the economy is like saying air. It's the same thing. So this analysis that it could backfire on them, right? It's not going to be very popular to seek this. Empathizing with Mangione is simply not uncommon, nor is it exclusive to anti-establishment lefties who relish in any evidence of an armed revolt against the entrenched oligarchy, especially when it comes from someone iconoclastically hot. It's true. His legal defense has $700,000 raised and ticks higher every single day. Really, you see the same compassion for his plight across the entire ideological spectrum. The sentiment pairs nicely with a poll by Emerson that went around last year, finding that 41% of college students deem the killing acceptable. The one from University of Chicago, 7 in 10 Americans placed at least moderate responsibility for Thompson's death on the healthcare industry. Deny, defend, depose. That was their line. So yes, this is like them perp walking him as if he were Superman, right? stop making this guy look cooler, right? Now he's going to face the death penalty. Like, stop making him into a martyr. What if he is actually killed, right? And obviously they're doing this because they think this will show that, they defend the wealthy. That's what they think that's a good look, right? I mean, this is why Elon is right next to Donald Trump. When, I don't know, people who killed 23 random, mostly shoppers of color in El Paso, he's getting a plea deal. That's right. This was in 2019. You guys remember the Texas Walmart shooting in El Paso? This broke a little bit ago, but Ken Klippenstein did a great little screenshot showing some updates from this case next to the Luigi Mangione case. And this guy's getting a plea deal, y'all. And remember, before we get into exactly these specifics, remember why, just like with the Tree of Life Synagogue massacre, remember why he did what he did, okay? His name was Patrick Crusius, and he believed he was fulfilling Trump's wishes in El Paso. That's what his attorney says. His attorney said, clearly they're trying to use that as some sort of like, he was deluded. He, loved Trump so much. I mean, you want to wonder the calculation about this, but this is basically saying we live in a climate where the president is ginning up this kind of racist support. That's why he did this. Stop being gaslit about whether or not we should feel for one CEO when Donald Trump himself has inspired race-motivated murder. People who, none of these people did anything to this guy's family, didn't deny him health care. I don't know, unless someone knows that, immigrants run our private health insurance industry. Maybe that's the only way Republicans would actually ever take it seriously if they did. They certainly serve in our healthcare industry, as we all know. But hey, some of them are being chased out of the country because maybe they posted about Palestine. This is recent, y'all. This is like 2 days ago. Patrick Crusius believed he was acting at the direction of President Donald Trump when he murdered 23 people and wounded 22 others at an El Paso Walmart. Quote, he thought he had to stop the invasion because that's what his president was telling him, which is just not rational, defense attorney Joe Spencer. I mean, so they're trying to go with insanity here, which is amazing. It's amazing that they are trying to use the insanity plea regarding this Trump supporter. So really, if you believe Donald Trump, who says there is an invasion, under the rubric which he is now invoking all of these laws, the Alien Enemies Act to deport innocent Venezuelans, right? These are acts that rounded up Japanese Americans and put them in internment camps, right? He's using all of these laws because we're under an invasion. That's why we're in wartime, right? Even though there's a stay put on the use of that Alien Enemies Act, the judge said you can't, we're not at war. His defense attorney, this murderer's defense attorney, is saying it's not rational to believe that we are in an invasion, while the president and his entire administration is telling us every single day, no, we are under an invasion. It's an invasion of immigrants, and this is a war. So which is it? First of all, obviously it's a thin defense, but you have to lie somewhere. It's the same thing that the January 6ers did. They thought the election was stolen. They were told by Donald Trump, even though he still has yet to admit that it wasn't stolen in 2020. He thought if he doesn't do it, then nobody's going to do it. He's got to start. Spencer said, Jesus Christ. Imagine being a jury on this and being like, The White House did not respond to multiple requests for comment from El Paso Matters. On August 5th, 2 days after the shooting, Trump condemned the attack. Hate has no place in America. Sure, my guy. What about all the people who love you, who wear Holocaust denial shirts? What about Charlottesville? Good people on both sides. Trump visited El Paso on the 7th, ignoring pleas from much of their elected leadership. Although numerous Trump critics and his constant anti-immigration rhetoric played a role in the El Paso shooting, an accusation Trump supporters have denied. Crusius and his defense team had not previously addressed whether Trump's words played a role in motivating the gunman. Crusius is now expected to plead guilty April 21st to charges of capital murder and aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. District Attorney James Montoya announced Tuesday the state prosecutor would no longer seek the death penalty. The state prosecutor will no longer seek the death penalty, meaning Crucius will be sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. He also has been sentenced to 90 consecutive life terms after pleading guilty to federal weapons and hate crime charges. Okay, now here's my thoughts on the death penalty. I don't believe in it. I don't believe in it for anyone, not even this piece of shit. I don't believe that the state should murder in response to murder. That seems, I don't know, the height of hypocrisy. I believe in a life sentence. Absolutely. This person is dangerous, right? I do believe that someone should get access to all kinds of rehabilitative, programs. I do think he needs to unlearn his bigotry. I think the program should be tailored to his crime. You know what I'm saying? This dude should have to speak fluent Spanish in 5 years. But you just see the difference in the way these two murderers are treated. One is allowed to take a plea deal, and the other one is facing the death penalty from the DOJ. So what's Pam Bondi said about the El Paso shooter? Not much. What's going on, Frantifa? If you haven't already, subscribe to this channel right now. Hit that button. And also, you can become a patron and support the show every single week. Get access to bonus episodes and exclusive merchandise. Patreon.com/bitchuation room. Do